Today we're going to go over setting up your Manychat account, and the presumption here is that you've already started an account with Manychat. So if you haven't done that, stop this video right now and go ahead and go to manychat.com and set up an account. And then what we're going to do is show you some of the critical things about setup. So you may want to set that account up and then watch this and then go ahead and do the complete setup. Before we get started though, I want to talk about why we're doing Manychat and give you a little bit of insight. And I want you to think about this. If you had a map and it was a simple map to a guaranteed treasure, would you follow it? And I think most people would answer yes, absolutely. And so what you're getting as part of this training, you're not just getting a training on how to sell a specific thing. These are trainings that will apply to sell virtually anything online. And as you develop your business, as you develop your selling online, you'll be able to do things like quit your 9-to-5 job. You'll start making money. These are techniques that are very, very proven. And frankly, the value of this training is amazing because we've spent a tremendous amount of money looking at all the different trainings that are out there, getting their information, finding the best techniques, and we're condensing them all into this course. So here's your treasure map. The first part of the treasure map actually has already been provided to you, and that's the art of testimonial marketing. And this tells you how to make testimonial type stories, both for yourself and when you get testimonies from other people. And the thing about that is, testimonies are really critical. The ones that you give yourself create emotional bridges with the people you're trying to sell to. And the ones that you get from other people give social proof that what you're selling really works. So that's the first thing. The second thing is an ebook called The Art of Marketing Messages. And we've done a lot of videos already about how to set up your marketing messages, but this book condenses it into about 40 pages of critical information. And believe me, the information in that book tells you exactly what to do to create your marketing message. And as I've said before, the really important thing is that you have a good marketing message and you know who your audience is and you've targeted that message and customized that message to the market that you're selling to. So this is really, really important. These are two great resources. If you don't know how to get them, be sure to give us a contact and we'll tell you exactly what to do. Now, here's a piece of gold. Get ready for this. Believe it or not, this is the essential blueprint for how you can make a ton of money online. There's 5 secret steps to having a successful online business. Now, let me get the laser pointer out here, and I'll show you what they are. First of all, you find people to look at your stuff, whatever you're going to sell them. And this means they're looking at your marketing message. And they're engaging with you in your marketing message, and they're following through. Then you want to get people to choose your main thing, whatever you're selling. Maybe you're selling snowshoes. Well, fine, that's no problem. You want them to choose that and to feel like that's something that they really want. Then you want them to choose more things. Maybe they need to have gloves with those snowshoes. Okay, and between here and here, you get them to make both the emotional decision that they want whatever you're selling and also the logical decision that it makes sense to buy it. But then finally, you've you've got to actually sell it to them. They've got to put their credit card down and give you the money. Okay, those are the 4 steps. Get them to look at what you've got to say, get them to choose the main thing you're selling, sell them additional things, and get them to pay for it. And then finally, later, sell them more things. And if you do that over and over and over and over again, you're going to have a successful business. Now, in this particular training, what we're going to do is focus on the first 4 things. And that's acquiring new interest in your product. Now, what do I mean by new interest? Well, that means new people. Getting new people involved in what you're selling. And when you're selling new things, getting the old people involved in what you're selling. So what you're going to be doing is using advertising to keep pouring into your sales funnel. Okay, the advertising and socializing is going to pour people into this system that we're creating. You can advertise on social media, you can advertise in Google, you can advertise on somebody else's site, it doesn't matter. Socializing, you can go on Facebook, you can go on Pinterest, you can go on Instagram, you can go on any of the social platforms and relate to people and get them to look at your stuff. Okay, so again, okay, you get the new people. This is called traffic, a source of traffic. The traffic pours into what you've got to say. You get them to look at it. Not a lot of them are going to really do that, okay? But enough will. Then you get them to choose whatever the main thing is that you're selling and decide both logically and emotionally, and emotions come first, that they really want what you're selling. Then get them to sell them some more stuff that makes sense. And finally, get them to buy things. That's what we're going to really focus on. Okay, and part of it is that you acquire customers and put them in a list. And in your list, you maintain a community. Sorry about the phone there. And here in the community, all the people that you sell things to, and even the people that you don't sell things to, but they looked at your stuff, you're going to want to maintain a community of those people so that later you can sell them more stuff. And what do? You just feed them right into that system. So you started out selling them snow boots and mittens, and now maybe you have skis to sell them, and you feed them right into here. And the beauty then is that you don't have to do a lot more advertising and pay for advertising in order to sell them more stuff. And if you do that over and over and over and over again, you're going to make a lot of money. That's just the way that it works. So let's look at a better model, or a more productive model, for a more detailed model, really, for what we're talking about. Okay, here's essentially what we're talking about. Right now, you can contact people by phone, or you can contact people that you have on email list. This would be your contacts that you have today, your telephone contacts. This would be your email contacts that you have today. Now, those people, for the most part, you're going to need to send them an email, and that email is going to have a link to whatever you've got on the internet, what I call your web presence. Okay, and that's going to be where you do your message delivery, your marketing message delivery. You can also go by social media and advertising. So here, for example, you talk to somebody in Facebook. This could be in your Facebook group. It could be in somebody else's. This could be in your Instagram channel. It's whatever you want to do. It could be Pinterest. I'm not showing that. It could be LinkedIn. We're going to focus on the Facebook properties, and that's Facebook and Instagram. You can also do paid advertising. You can see the little $ here. This is paid email, where you're paying somebody else to send out emails to their list with your links. Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising. Now, those you don't have to send an email like this, because you can send those people a link directly into whatever you've got on the internet. And we're just using a very generic idea of a presence on the internet that does what? It delivers a hook. That's part of your marketing message. The story that's part of your marketing message, the offer, and the call to action. Excuse me. In some cases, the call to action is going to require a telephone call before they're going to give you their credit card. Okay? In some cases, it won't. And there's actually kind of a magic number. They've done a lot of research about that. And the magic number is, believe it or not, 1,995 dollars. Okay, if you send them an offer, let's go back to the laser pointer. If you send them an offer here and a call to action, and they're going to have to spend 1,995 or below, there's a really good chance that you can avoid having to talk to them on the phone. If it's above 1995, then you're almost certainly going to have to talk to them on the phone before they're going to give you your credit card. Now, one thing that you also want to do that's part of your overall internet presence, your web presence, is you want to develop your customer recontact list, or those used to be called the email list, but now it's more than email. Okay, so you want some way of every person that clicks and goes to this web presence, somehow you can get their recontact information. Why? So you can sell them more stuff. And as you go along, one of the things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start monitoring your numbers. And the important numbers to monitor are this one right here, of the people that you send emails to, how many of them actually go to your web presence. Then, of the people who go to your web presence, how many of them actually do your call to action? Okay, and when you get them on the phone, if that's the call to action to talk to them on the phone, how many of them actually sign up? Okay, now if it's not on the phone, then it's going to be how many of these people give you their credit card numbers. And you're going to monitor those very, very closely, because as you begin to see what those numbers are, you'll be able to predict what your business is going to do, and you'll be able to upscale. So you'll know, for example, that if you spend, we'll go back to the laser pointer here. Okay, if you in your advertising spend, let's say $10 a day, and you make $100 a day, well, does that mean that if you spend $100 a day, you're going to make $1,000 a day? Probably. That's a good predictor. And would you do that? Is that a smart business decision? Every single day. Every single day. Okay, now we're going to focus just a little bit more on Healy, and specifically how you go about selling Healy and what you've already got available. And it's going to be based on this overall model. So here's Healy. You'll see that the way that you generate traffic is pretty much the same. You've got some people that you're going to know already. You've got their telephone numbers for, you can call. You've got some people that you know in email. Okay, those are people that are going to have to get an email. And you're going to have to give them the link. In this case, it's going to be to the iDecide. So if you signed up for iDecide, you've already got this done. You don't have to do a single thing on the web. Not a single thing. Okay, if you pay for advertising, they're going to get an email too, but that email is going to come from somebody else. It's not going to be from you. It's going to be, for example, you know Joe, and Joe's got a list of 100,000 people, and you say, Joe, would you send out an email on my behalf, and you're going to pay Joe for it, and in his email he's going to say, okay, my friend has got this amazing offer for a Healy, and it's a really wonderful machine. Click on this link and find out everything you need to know. Okay, that's easily done. Then you have social media, and you can give the iDecide link directly in a social media post or in social media advertising. So that's just like we talked about before. Then you have the iDecide web presence. And iDecide is going to monitor a lot of things for you. It's all automatic. And one of the things that it does is encourages you to contact people by telephone. So this is essentially all done for you. It's ready to go. And later we're going to be talking about how to do the advertising part. But right now you can do your phones and your emails and get your business going with iDecide. There's nothing to do there. You're all ready to go. Okay, let's go to the next step. The one thing that iDecide does not do for you is build an email list. It's really strange because it collects their email address and it collects their phone numbers, but it doesn't permanently store it. So one of the things that you're going to have to do if you decide to use iDecide is to create a manual way to keep track of their email address. Why? Well, iDecide is all about Healy. Okay, that's all they're dealing with. But you want to build a mailing list for other things that you may sell in the future. And that means that you need to keep their name and their email at a minimum. It would be great if you can get their phone number and other information too. So your complete system right now, based on iDecide, okay, is to also get from iDecide, whenever it gets somebody, go ahead and put them into at least a spreadsheet, if not an email system. And we're going to recommend that you do this in Google Sheets, and then later you can worry about setting up an email system. Now, the nice thing about iDecide is it does your web presence for you. But you can do your own web presence, and there are basically two alternatives. One alternative is to do Manychat. The other alternative is to build what normally is called a web page or a landing page. And we're going to suggest that the best way to do it is to start with Manychat. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One reason is that not many people are doing Facebook Messenger marketing right now. That's one reason. So it gives you a distinctive look. It gives you something different. The second thing is that right now, most people who buy things buy it from cell phones. Listen to that. Most people who buy things buy it from cell phones and not from not from desktop computers or laptops. Think about that. That means that by using Facebook Messenger, you've got a platform that's designed to be used mainly with cell phones. Okay. And the third reason is that Facebook Messenger almost demands that your people that are in your prospect list interact with you and engage with you. And that's the number one thing that will build trust and that will get people to buy from you. So that's why we're recommending that you do Facebook first. And you'll discover later on that once you get this Facebook Messenger and Manychat thing mastered, you'll be able to also create web pages and go from those web pages into your Manychat. So it's very powerful. But right now, okay, we're going to talk about Manychat. So this is the overall scheme when it comes to Manychat. So here we have the overall strategy for the Healy implementation of Manychat and Facebook Messenger. And you're going to be able to use this basic strategy over and over and over again. And we'll show you how next week, how you can customize that. Now, if you think about it, this section right here is pretty much the same strategy for generating traffic. There are some people that you know by phone. You can call them and give them a link. And again, of course, I've left the email out here, but you'd put an email there. You know some people by email. You have their addresses. You send them an email with a link. You talk to people in social media. You send them a link directly in social media. You do advertising. You put a link in your advertising. Or you do email advertising and you put a link there. Now, in Manychat, they call the link, and this is just like a link to any other website, they call that the Facebook reference URL. And I'm going to explain that in more detail in just a minute. But right now, all that's important to know is that you get a link and you send them a link. And that takes them into your Facebook Messenger Manychat automated bot. Okay, and this is the opt-in section. Automatically, you don't have to do a single thing. Automatically, Facebook knows their email address, their name, their gender, where they live, all of that stuff. Their phone, it knows all of that stuff. And that's available to you. So you don't have to ask them to leave their email address. You don't have to ask them to leave their name. It knows all that stuff. And one of the things that you're going to see is how easy it is, and we provide that for you, to put it into a Google Sheets document. And you'll remember that before we talked about when you use iDecide, how important it was to put it into Google Sheets. Well, here's the Google Sheets. Okay? Same Google Sheets. Okay, so now what you're going to end up with is all of your contacts, whether it goes by iDecide or whether it goes by the chatbot here, you're going to have a list of everybody in Google Sheets. And later you can send them emails. And then you start sending messages. Now, this is going to be a message a day, basically. So what you do is you take your marketing message and you divide it up into several days. And we've got it set up right now to do 6 days, but you can easily add another day if that makes sense for you. And you can also use the first one if you want to deliver an ebook. You know, maybe you promise them in your advertising that they're going to get a free ebook. Well, then you need to give it to them right away. Okay, and there's a way to do that. We give you a way to do that. We're pre-building all of these flows in Manychat for you. And that's the thing that's really exciting, is that you don't have to figure out how to do this. You just have to put your own information in there. So in that sense, it's like Word. You don't have to figure out how to make the Word program function. You just have to put your text in there. And we're kind of doing the same thing. So the way that it works is that you do the opt-in for Manychat. Then you do the first message that's part of your message flow. Then you do the second. Then you do the third. At some point, it doesn't have to be the third one, but at some point you're going to say, wouldn't you like to contact us? And we give you automatically different options for how they contact you, but one is by phone. Then you deliver some more messages, okay, and another message, another part of your message, and another one where they contact you. So that's going to be the flow. That's going to be how it works. And if you remember from previous trainings, this is what's called a sequence. So they come in, you give them a link, and it starts a sequence. Those are like autoresponders in email, except that the people can respond back to you, and you can interact with them. Okay, and you send them one after another, after another, after another, after another, and then intermittently in some of them you ask at strategic points, you ask them whether they'd like to contact you. And that works just like a web page where you're giving a button that says, would you like to buy it now? Would you like to buy, and then later, little later, would you like to buy it now? And a little later, would you like to buy it now? So this is our overall Manychat flow. But before you can do any of that, you need to set up your Manychat account. And to do that, you need to understand how people are going to engage with you to get their Facebook Messenger flows going. So how do they get into this point? Well, we've already talked about that one way is that you send them a link right here. But there are some other ways too. So let's go over that right now. One of the ways that they can do that, whoops, we went 2 slides. Okay. One of the ways that they can do that is they can send a message to you directly from your Facebook page. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, right here on your Facebook page, you don't have to do a thing, it's automatically there. Okay, if they click here, it's going to send you a Facebook message. Okay, and what it's going to do is give them a certain amount of information, and we're going to look at that in more detail in the next slide. But there are 3 important things to understand. And that is, first of all, it's going to send a Manychat greeting text. Then it's going to have the Facebook, and that's something you set up and you customize, so that's part of your setup. Then it's going to do a Facebook thing that says get started, and there's nothing you can do there. You just have to accept the fact that the button is going to be there. And then it's going to send a Manychat welcome message. Okay, so let's look at that in more detail and what happens. So imagine now that I just clicked on message right here, and here's what they'll see. Usually in the lower right-hand side of the screen, they're going to see something like this. A little box comes up where they can talk to you in Facebook Messenger. Okay, right here where it says typically replies within a few hours, that's done automatically by Facebook. It determines how often you reply. But your Manychat greeting text is going to go there right underneath that. Okay, so that's your text, and that's where you would welcome them to chatting on Facebook Messenger. Okay, then comes the Get Started button, and that's right here. Okay, and then finally, after they hit Get Started, all of a sudden now they're actually in the bot messages, and that's where the welcome message starts. So that's how they go from your Facebook page. Okay, that's one way that they can start talking to you. A second way that they can start talking to you is what's called a growth tool. Now this is inside of Manychat, and these are all different growth tools. When you click on Manychat where it says growth tool, and we'll show you that in a little bit, you can choose from any of these. But really, we're going to focus on just a few. So let me blow that up just a little bit so you can see which ones. We're going to focus on the Facebook reference URL. That's what we've been talking about. Okay, that's where you get a link that you can send them. Okay, another one that's interesting is the QR code. And the QR code you've seen the little boxes. It's like a square box with all kind of dots in it. Well, you can put that on a business card, for example, or you can put it on a flyer that you hand out, anything like that. They can scan it and it'll take them directly into Manychat flow. Another thing you can do is set it up so that when they make comments to your posts, okay, they're taken into a Manychat flow. And that can be to a specific post. Okay, and finally, you can do Facebook ads. There's a lot of other things you can do, and later we'll talk about those, but these are really the most critical things to get your business going. The other ones that are interesting are the customer chat, where you create a little thing on your website, and this is only relevant when you have a website, a web page that you create, and they can chat with you. You've seen those. They're in the lower right-hand corner usually, and it says, would you like to chat with us? And some of them use Facebook Messenger, some of them don't. This allows you to use Facebook Messenger. Okay, so these growth tools are all different ways that people can come in and talk to you. Okay, so let's take another look here. And you'll see that within the whole set of growth tools, we're just going to be focusing on the ones here at the bottom. Okay, and later we'll work with the others. Don't worry about those for now. Okay, so let's get a reminder here of our Facebook flow. We have traffic generation. We have the web presence, where you deliver your marketing message. And then we have finally the call to action, where you're actually selling the product. Okay? Traffic generation, marketing in here, and sales over here. Now, there's two additional ways that people can interact with you or begin their interaction. And let me explain those to you. We've already talked about sending a message from your Facebook page. We've already talked about the growth tools. Another one is what's called keyword flows. And what you can do within Manychat is monitor what people type in Facebook Messenger. And when certain words appear, you can make certain things happen. And we'll show you an example of that a little bit later on. So, but the idea is if they type Healy, then you can get a certain flow to happen. If they type help, you can get a certain thing to flow. If they talk about business opportunity, you can get a certain thing to flow. Okay, that's called a keyword flow. Now, Manychat provides some for you automatically. One is stop. Okay, when they type in the word stop, it exits them from Manychat. They'll never be able to use Manychat again unless they use the other keyword start. So Manychat will provide those automatically. You don't have to do a thing. And as you would expect, what happens when they type something in and you can't recognize any words? Then you have a default reply. Okay, and this, they type in the sky is blue. Well, probably you're not going to have anything looking for the words the, sky, is, or blue. So then you hit the default reply. And usually that default reply is, why don't you contact us? And we'll be happy to talk to you about it. Okay, it takes them out of the automated bots and into either telephone calls, emails, or interacting directly on Facebook Messenger. Okay, so those are the main ways that people are going to engage with you. Connecting from your Facebook page, through a link that you send them and they get it in email or they get it on a web page or whatever, by typing in a keyword, or the default reply. Okay, now, what are you going to have to do to set up your account? Okay, here's the steps that you have to take. You have to set up the greeting text. We talked about what that is. You have to tell it what time zone you're in. You have to set up Google Sheets. You have to set up your default reply. We talked about what that is. You have to type in your welcome message. We talked about what that is. You also have to activate the ability to send out text messages to the phone. Those are called SMS messages, and emails. And Manychat has automated things that when you set up your account, it's going to ask you to set all these things up. Go ahead and do that, but we'll go over it now and we'll show you what that is. And you'll notice here that this says set up your default reply and your welcome message after import. Well, this is what we're providing to you, is this import. Okay, and I want to show you what that is. We're going to give you 3 links. One for the Healy distributor and business flows. Bam, you get this link. One for giving away ebooks. Bam, you get this link. And one for setting up Healy keywords. Bam, you get these links. And what this does is it gives you a lot of pre-built Manychat flows. And we'll show you that in more detail in just a minute. Okay, but for now, let's go back and let's focus on setting up our account. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in the Manychat on the internet. And the first thing that we're going to do is to set up the greeting text. Okay, well, where do you find that? Okay, this is the Manychat account. Okay, and the greeting text, if you have more than one page connected to Manychat, you can choose which page you're going to use right here. Hold on, Manychat's being a little bit slow. Okay, there we go. So we're going to use Simple Ways to Health, and we go into Settings. Okay, and there's your greeting text. Okay, so remember, the greeting text appears when they're connecting to you through your Facebook page. And this is what it's going to say. And you can set it up to say whatever you want to say. So go ahead, put it in here. You can change it anytime, no problem. Now we say welcome to Simple Ways to Health, and then put in their first name. That personalization, really people respond to that. So use it a lot. We show you how to make personal wellness easy. People also love emojis. And the way that you put in the name and the emojis is right here. Okay, if you want to put in a name, you just click there and it lets you put in this. Okay, if you want to put an emoji, you click there and you can select the emoji. Okay, and then we tell them click Get Started below to begin. Easy to do. But let's see what it looks like. Okay, that's exactly what it's going to look like. Okay, so that's the first thing that they see when they click on the thing that says message on your Facebook page. They're going to see this very first thing. Simple Ways to Health typically replies instantly, welcome to Simple Ways to Health. This is the message we typed in. And notice that we said click Get Started below, and there's the Get Started that they click on. And then they will see the welcome message. Okay, so that was setting up the greeting text. The second thing that we said needs to be set up is the time zone. That's actually on the same page on Manychat. It's right here. Just click on the pull down and make sure that the time zone is correct for where you are. Okay, the third thing that we talked about is Google Sheets integration. And what you have to do here is set up a Google Sheets account. Now, what does that mean? Okay, actually what you do is set up a Google account. And let me show you that. What I'm going to do is run the Firefox browser here. Hold on for just 1 second. It's taking a second for the browser to launch. Okay, there we go. Let me move it in so you can see it. Okay, and so what we're going to do is set up a Google account. And actually, there are plenty of YouTubes on how to do this. I'm not going to show you the details of how to set up a Google account, but I'm going to show you how the Google Sheets work. So I'm going to just run the Gmail account here. And within Gmail, you see these little dots over here, and those are all the other things that are related to Google and that you get by having a Google account. And you want to do the Drive. Okay, and this is where you set up your different accounts. Okay, well, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Okay, I'm sorry, I said your different accounts. This is where you set up your different sheets, your spreadsheets. Okay, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay, for now, all you need to have is a Google account. So that's going to be basically a Google Gmail. And where do you set that up? Under integrations here, okay, you connect right here and give it your Gmail email. And that's all you need to do. Okay, and then later we'll show you how to do the Google Sheets. Not in this training, but in another training. Okay, what's the next thing that we need to do here? Okay, the next thing you need to do is to set up your default reply. Okay, and let's go back to our browser. Wrong browser. Okay, we're back into the Manychat account right now. Okay, and you go to Messenger. Okay, and there's the default reply. Now, you just go and edit it. And this is where you set up what you're going to say whenever they type something in and you don't recognize it. So let's look and see what we've set up here for ourselves. And you can set this up whatever you want, but we say, hi, whatever the first name is. I don't have an immediate response to what you entered, but I want you to make sure to get the but I want to make sure you get the information you need. Would you like to get in contact with us? Okay, now, if they click yes, then it's going to automatically run a flow called Contact Now. Now, what I want to show you here is the importance of the ability to run flows within other flows. So here you have a flow, and now you're saying within this flow, run this flow right here. Okay, let's take a look at what that flow does. So I'm going to say open flow. And we don't need to go into the detail, but you can see that this is a pretty complicated flow. Okay, it does all kinds of things. And it makes no sense to have to type this in everywhere you want to have somebody contact you. So the beauty is you can take all of that and represent it by that one single box and say, okay, run that now. Do that. And then in another flow, I could say, okay, do that again. Now that's the beauty of what we're going to provide you in those templates, is that we've got a bunch of these little boxes and you're going to be able to do things automatically. So set up the reply the way that you want to do it. Okay, and what I would recommend is that you go ahead and do something like we've done here, where it says, oh gosh, I can't answer your question right now. Would you like to contact us? And then we've actually got a different contact that we provide to you. It's a little better than this one, and we'll go over that one in another training. Okay, so that was the default reply. Okay, let's go back into settings and back into Messenger. And now you want to do the welcome message. And that's really exactly the same thing. Okay, this is a message that welcomes them to your site. And you can see that just like the other one, we have certain little flows that we do automatically. Okay, and you can do those same things. And we'll go over that in a later training too. All of this is going to be stuff that we cover next week. But just know that you need to do. For now, just put in a thing that says welcome. Welcome to our site. And then I'll show you what else you need to add. So what I'd like you to do between now and the next training you see is to just put in a welcome message that maybe gives a picture so they can relate to you as in a picture and say, hi, whatever the first name is, we want to tell you about whatever, or welcome to our site, or we want to tell you about a simple way you can feel better and make your family healthier. Thanks for attending. We appreciate it. Okay? That's your welcome message. Okay, and finally, what you want to do as part of your setup, excuse me, what you want to do as part of your setup is let's go back into settings again. And you'll notice down here, it has both SMS and email. Okay, and click on each one of those and be sure you set it up and enable it to run. And again, next week we're going to go into more detail why this is important, but make sure that your SMS is set up, and the same thing for your email. Make sure that it's set up, and basically what you have to do here is to provide your contact information. That is required by law. Okay, and you can look at the terms of service if you want to, make sure that it's enabled. And that's basically what you need to do to set up your account. So then I want you to go in and I want you to load all the templates. And we're going to go ahead and do that now and show you how that works. Now I'm going to switch over to a different account. Okay, and this is going to be to IMRS Health. And I'm going to show you how loading the templates works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the link. Let's take a look at that link again. Okay, and I'm going to copy one of these links right here and put it in my browser. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy that link offline. First, I'll bring up my browser again. And now I'm getting the link here as we talk. Okay, or as we don't talk. Okay, so I'm getting the main one here for Healy Distributor and Business Flows. And this is what you would do. Just copy the link. I'll send it to you. Okay, I'm going to open another browser window here, and I'm going to paste it in there. Okay, and hit the Enter key. And now Manychat is going to take over. And all you do is there's a couple of things to notice here. The first thing to notice is that you must have a pro version of the account. We're doing some pretty complicated and fancy things, and that means that you need a Healy Distributor Pro account. I think it's $10 a month, but believe me, it's worth it. It's going to allow you to do things like get customer input. It's going to allow you to do things like have your Google Sheets document. So for building your business, it's really worth $10 a month. And it'll go up once you have hundreds of people, but by then you should be making plenty of money to pay for that $10 a month. So get it going, okay, and you'll be ready to go. And now you can import it. Okay, now let's look at what you're going to get. You're going to get 2 growth tools. Okay, remember that we said one way of having people get into your Manychat flows is through having a link, what they call the reference URL. So you get 2 reference URL things, okay, and one is for the Healy mini course, which is a 6-video series about the Healy, and the second one is the Healy Distributor course, which is a several message long thing about becoming a Healy distributor. Okay, so you get those 2 things, and that's really gets you started, but you get a whole lot more. Okay, there are 2 sequences because we got 2 courses. Okay, and as you'd expect, one is the mini course and one is the distributor course. Okay, and then there are 31 flows. Okay, and these are all the different flows that you get. And you notice that every single one of them has this, with the exception of the top one here, is the S3T built into it. So that's one way you can recognize it. What does that mean? Nothing in particular. It's just a code that I put in there so that you could recognize when it's a flow that we created. So when you click install, all of that and everything that it needs to do that is going to be automatically installed in your account. Now, I've already done that in this account, so I'm not going to hit install right now, but it's really a simple thing. Just hit install, boom, it'll work. Okay, if you want to do ebooks, you'll have to install the ebook giveaway, and I do recommend you do the Healy keywords. So let's go ahead and do the Healy keywords now, and we'll show you how the install works in detail. I don't believe I've installed them here before. Oops, that's not the right one. There we go. Okay, so let's see what we get here. We get 2 keywords, 2 sequences, and 31 flows. Okay, the 2 keywords are Stop Healy and Healy, and the 2 sequences are the mini course 1 and the distributor funnel, which we already knew about, and the 31 flows. Okay, so we'll go ahead and install them so you can see that process. It asks you where do you want to install it. We're going to install it into, now notice that this one is not a pro account, so it will not let you install it there. Okay, so we'll go into IMRS Health and install it there, and it thinks for a second. It asks you to install now, and bam, it's just that easy. Everything has been installed, and they're ready to go. So that's the complete setup of your accounts. And now you can use all the different things that we provide to you, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do that. To get started, let me say that if you haven't watched the previous video on how to set up flows, you really need to do that before you go any further in this video, because you got to know how to set up flows. I mean, that's really critical. That's kind of like not knowing the English language if you're going to use Microsoft Word. So what I'm going to do now is, remember we talked about that one of the things that you get is you get keywords. And you got the Healy keyword, if you remember. That was automatic. So we're going to go in here under automation. We're going to look at keywords, and we're going to scroll down here until we find Healy, and there it is. Okay, and now whenever it encounters the word Healy, it's going to do this flow. Okay, and there's the flow. So let's take a look at what it's going to do. And I'm going to go here into edit mode. And again, you can change this a little bit, but this is what we suggest. Okay, it's going to, first of all, it's going to say, thanks for your interest in Healy. I can tell you about the Healy device and bioenergetic health. I can tell you about the Healy business opportunity or other Healy information. What would you like to find out about? Then it gives them three choices: the Healy device, the Healy opportunity, or other. If they do the Healy device, okay, then it's going to say, okay, let me to subscribe you to our video course about the Healy device. Okay, and then it's going to run and subscribe them to the course. And remember, this is another pre-built flow. Okay, what if they press Healy opportunity? It's going to say, okay, let me subscribe you to our Healy opportunity video course. And then it's going to subscribe them to that. Okay? And finally, if they hit other, then it's going to say, oh, okay, you need to contact one of our people for that information. Let me help you do that. Okay, so that's what it does for anytime they type in the word Healy. It lets them look at the two courses that you've already got, or contact us. Well, let's see what happens in Contact Now. Now remember, this is different than the contact I showed you before because it has the S3T code. So let's look at that flow and at what it does. Okay, and as you can see, this is a little bit more complicated flow, and you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay, what does it do? Let me blow it up here. And it says, okay, let's get in contact as soon as possible. How would you like to contact us? Here in Messenger, by phone, or by email. Okay, if they type in here in Messenger, it says, type in a short question below to let me know what you want to chat about. And then it waits for them to give a reply. Now, this is one of those features that required you to get the Pro account, because if you didn't have the Pro account, you couldn't get the user input. Once they type it in, it's going to say, okay, I got it. One of our people will get back to you as quickly as possible. Then what does it do? Okay, it goes over here and it sets a custom field, which we call the customer request to Facebook Messenger, and it says set that to chat as soon as possible. And then what does it do? Okay, it notifies support, okay, and it does customer request tracking. Notifying support is where it notifies you by email that they have just done that, and this puts it into the Google Sheet. And those are two other things that you must have the Pro account in order to be able to do. So you get the idea of how complicated this contact really is. Now, what I want to do is go back to the other flow, okay, that we had before. And one of the things that you can do, that's Contact Now. Let's go one more here. Okay, remember this is if they type in the word Healy. One of the things that you can do is when you're in edit mode, you can do what's called a preview. And preview lets you see how it's going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run preview. We should see this message. I'm going to click on other, and then we should see the contact work. Okay, here we go. I'll click on preview. Okay, I'm going to open Messenger. And this is that's leftover messages from previous things. But here's what we had. We typed in Healy and it said, thanks for your interest in Healy. In fact, we can do it again. Right here, I can type in the word Healy. Okay, and let's see what it does. How about that? Ron, thanks for your interest in Healy. I can tell you about the Healy device and bioenergetic health. I can tell you about the business opportunity. I can do other Healy information. What would you like to find out about? And I'm going to click, like I said, on other. What does it say? Okay. You need to contact one of our people for that information. Let me help you do that. So now it starts running that automated flow that we've set up for you about contact us. And it says, okay, Ron, let's get in contact as soon as possible. How would you like to contact us? And one option is here in Messenger, one is by phone, and one is by email. Okay, let's do here in Messenger. Okay, it says type in a short question below to let me know what you want to chat about. Okay, and I'll just say here, this is an example of using the contact pre-built flow. Okay, and now what does it say? It says, okay, got it. One of our people will get back to you as quickly as possible. Watch for a message. Okay, now I want to show you some other things that it did. So first of all, I'm going to bring in my email system. And you'll see right here, there's a thing, IMRS Health Manychat Notify. It's coming from Manychat. Let's click on that and see what it says. It says, oh, Ron Moorfield, that's me, just did something you want to know about. It gives my email. It gives my phone number. Okay, it says that my request was to chat as soon as possible, and here's the message that I typed in. This is an example of using the contact pre-built flow. So you'll get that message as soon as they take an action. And if you monitor your email, you'll know right away to get back in contact with them. Now let's look at another thing that it does. And to do that, I'm going to move the email out of the way. So you'll remember from this page that they said this is an example of using the contact pre-built flow. Okay, the second thing that it does is it loads up a Google Sheets document. And I'm going to bring over the Google Sheets that we looked at before and open this particular Sheets document. And you'll look down here at the very bottom, and it says that this is customer number 262. That's a number that we track for you so you know how many customers you have. It's Ron Moorfield. Okay, this is when I first registered with the site. Okay, this is the last contact I had, and so that's today, right now, 1/15/2021 at 12:30. This is my email address. This is my phone number. This is some data that was left over from something else. It says the best time to contact me is after 6. Okay, this was I'm requesting a Facebook Messenger chat as soon as possible. This is my Facebook number, and this is the message that I sent in. So that's going into a Google Sheets document, and at the end of the day or twice a day or whatever, you can go in and you can look at your Google Sheets document and see all the things that you need to do, and gives you all the contact information. So that's setting up your account. The important thing to do is to get your account set up, get it ready to go. Next week, we're going to go over some of the detailed flows that we've pre-set up for you and show you how to customize those. And you'll be completely ready to go with your Manychat, and you'll also see how you can use those same flows or the structure of those templates to create new flows and new things that you want to do and customize them for yourself. See you next week.